All right, here we are. Welcome to Monday Motivation. I am so excited to see your beautiful faces and some new but old faces on the call tonight. Super thrilled about that. I shared that graphic that's saying one day or day one, you decide. And I felt so moved to have that be the base of what we talk about tonight. And I don't know if any of you know how I decide what I'm going to talk about. And if you know me, this will come as no surprise to you. But unless I have a guest speaker planned for the night, I really just wait for inspiration. I really just pray to God and I say, okay, God, what do you want me to share this week? What does my team need to hear? And I saw this graphic and I heard God, the Holy Spirit, the universe, unicorns, whatever you guys believe in. I believe in God, so I believe God was telling me, Hillary, this is it. This is what your team needs to hear. So when you hear that, I hope it moves you the way that it moved me. One day or day one, you decide. How many times in our lives have we said, one day I'll do that. One day I'll get to that. One day, Monday I'll start that. Monday is going to be the day that everything changes. Monday or one day, I can't do that right now because finances aren't really where they need to be. We just really can't afford to do that. I can't take that vacation. I can't. One day I will. One day. Why not decide to, instead of say one day, say this is day one that I am starting to live my dream, that I am starting to put all excuses, everything to the wayside and live my authentic life, be who I was created to be, because you all have that within you. You may have silenced it for a very long time. And if you have, a good way to get it back out is to think about that little girl or that little boy and those dreams that you had. And what you believed in your heart, what God placed in your heart before anyone started feeding you lies about yourself, including yourself. Before you started putting limitations on your own life and your own self based upon what other people told you because of their own insecurities and their own issues. Nothing they ever told you was about you. That's one of the agreements. It's one of the 4 agreements. What other people do is not a reflection of you. It's not about you. So how do we do that? How do we get past just the shish boom ba, rah, 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 I'm going to do it today? How do we actually do it? How do we actually move forward in pursuit of our dreams to live the best life that we were intended and meant to be? Because I firmly believe that God didn't put any of the passions and any of the desires and any of the ideas in my heart without a way for me to make those things happen. And I was listening to a call that Lori Ward Harrison did, and she said, that this is probably not a popular thing that she's going to share. And that was that plexus may not be everyone's calling. It may not be your calling. And that's okay, because plexus can be that vehicle to get you to your goal, to your dreams, because of the awesomeness that is plexus. We all know we have amazing products. We have an amazing compensation plan. We aren't going anywhere. But to continue to motivate and inspire and keep going, maybe Maui doesn't excite you. Maybe a car doesn't excite you. It doesn't light that passion, a shopping spree, whatever. Find what motivates you. Find what you're passionate about, because plexus is that vehicle, is that tool. Now, for a lot of people, plexus is it. It's their calling. For me, and this is probably going to come as a surprise for many of you, the more I thought about it, I don't think plexus is my calling either. I don't. I think that my calling is to help every single person become the best version of themselves. How do I do that? How do I motivate and inspire and empower other people? I use plexus. I use plexus to do that. That excites me. That motivates me. That lights a fire in my soul to know that I can help somebody accomplish their goals, be who they want to be, and help them see who they truly are and who they're meant to be, and peel back all the layers and all the lies that they told themselves, right? That's what I'm so incredibly, incredibly passionate about. So she asked this question on this call, part of how do you find this? And she said, I want you all right now to think, if money were not an option, money did not exist in this world whatsoever, what would you do? What would you do? And some people haven't even thought about that. Like, what would their life look like if they didn't need money? If money wasn't a source of currency or whatever, what would you do with your life? And if you can't answer that, I want you to really, really, tonight before you go to bed, I really, really want you to do some soul searching into that question, because when you do that, then you can also find what you're passionate about. And then you can decide how you want to use plexus as that vehicle, as that tool to move forward in the direction, in the pursuit of what you're passionate about. Maybe you're passionate about dogs. You love dogs. Dogs are your world. You love dogs. You would love, love, love to have an animal shelter and adopt as many dogs as you can. But you've never been able to figure out how you could do that, because you say that to your friends and family and they're like, well, that makes zero sense, because guess what? You're not going to make any money doing that, right? You're going to make $0. That is dumb. But money's not an option, remember? You don't need money. So that's your dream. That's what you're passionate about. And plexus is your currency to get you there, right? So I would love for you all to really, really dig deep and think about that. Think about what you're passionate about and what that calling is for you. And some of you that it is plexus, it is that calling and that passion of helping people with their health. Maybe you're a nurse and that's what you like to do is really transform people's health and help them, count macros or whatever, whatever that passion is. But I believe with all of my heart that no matter what passion you have, plexus is the vehicle to get you there. It truly is. No matter what that passion is, it could be, figuring out how we're going to get to Mars. I don't even know. I really, honestly, the first thing that popped in my head was, creating unicorns. And I don't know why that came into my head, but whatever, because it's Brinley, hopefully Brinley is not listening. She's supposed to be sleeping, but we all know about unicorns, right? You only get to see them when you're really nice. That's how you get to see unicorns, when you're really nice. Ask Brinley. So, finding that passion and that desire that is deep down in your heart, and knowing that plexus is that vehicle to get you there. Now, You're excited, you're passionate, you're doing this. You're like, yes, Hillary, I know what I'm passionate about. I get it. Plexus is a vehicle. I'm going to do this. And you get out in your garage and you crank the key or push the button, because I got Plexus push button. You push the button and it doesn't start. It doesn't start. And you're sitting there and you're like, but I'm ready to go. I got this. I got this. Push the button again. Crank the key. Doesn't start. In that moment, what do you tell yourself? Do you go back in here and start doubting yourself and start saying, oh, yeah, I knew it was too good to be true. I knew this car wasn't going to start anyways. I mean, I guess I didn't put gas in it, so that would probably like make sense. Or, I didn't maintain it, or whatever the case may be. I left it running and I didn't, recharge its batteries, right? A lot of times that's what we do with ourselves, right? And we start saying and making excuses. Well, I'm really busy anyways, so you know what? I'll get to that one day. I didn't get to, the messages that I wanted to send out, but I'll do it one day. No, stop that. Stop that. Make that promise to yourself that when you get inside that vehicle, and even if it doesn't start, you get out and you push that sucker till it does. You find a way. You go get gas. You go ask for help, whatever the case may be. But dang it, that vehicle is what you need to get to your passion, to get to you, who you're meant to be. And if you can see Plexus in that way, as in just like, it's there, and have that belief, you will get there. I promise you. There will be times where you are going to get back into that self-doubt and talk yourself out of it. And, many times, because I've been through therapy, yep, suffered from depression for a very, very long time, sat on that therapist couch, and one of the best things that I ever heard, and something that made a lot of sense to me, was how my mind, I allowed it to go into these dark holes. And I would pick one thing didn't go right. And then I piled another thing on top of it, and another thing, and another thing. I could have a pimple on my face. And when I was done, I could convince myself that I was a hideous creature who was so incredibly ugly, who did not deserve to go out of the house, let alone live. Those are the dark holes that I would put myself in. And it happens without you even realizing it, because our mind is such an incredibly powerful thing. So I want to share with you, and I hope this works, and if it doesn't, we can do it later. But I thought really, really hard about this, and I normally like to keep you guys really, really short, and this thing that I want to work with is pretty short. But normally I would just post this video and I would say, watch this, give me your takeaways. But tonight, even if you've already watched it, I pray that you all stay on here, and I pray that this works in my share screen. And you just sit and you listen and you take notes to figure out the secret of self-motivation, the secret to truly reaching your passions, your goals, using, what the vehicle that we have in Plexus. But how do you get there? How do you get inside your car and motivate yourself to go forward? What is that secret? So, fingers crossed this works. All right, I have it pulled up, so we'll see here if it works. All right. So Can you all see this screen? Give me a thumbs up, anybody? Okay. I am going to press play, and then I want just at least one or two. Right now, Tammy, you're the only one that I can see on my screen. Miss Tammy, hey sister. Dark-haired Tammy now. If you could give me a thumbs up if you can hear this when I press play, and then I'm just gonna let it play out. And like I said, I pray you all stay on here. I realize that you could watch this on your own, but I also want to do a little recap as soon as it's over. Sound good, everyone? All right, here we go.
I'll never forget standing there in my bedroom. It was dark, it was cold, it was winter in Boston. And for the first time in 3 months, I had beaten my habit of hitting the snooze button. There are so many people in the world, and you know, you may be watching this right now, and you have these incredible ideas, and what you think is missing is motivation. And that's not true. Because the way that our minds are wired, and the fact about human beings, is that we are not designed to do things that are uncomfortable or scary or difficult. Our brains are designed to protect us from those things, because our brains are trying to keep us alive. And in order to change, in order to build a business, in order to be the best parent, the best spouse, to do all those things that you know you want to do with your life, with your work, with your dreams, you're going to have to do things that are difficult, uncertain, or scary, which sets up this problem for all of us. You're never going to feel like it. Motivation's garbage. You only feel motivated to do the things that are easy, right? What do you think that is? Oh, I know exactly why that is. Because I've studied this so much, because for me, one of the hardest things to figure out was, why is it so hard to do the little things that would improve my life? And what I've come to realize, and what we'll talk a lot about today, is that the way that our minds are designed is our minds are designed to stop you at all costs from doing anything that might hurt you. And the way that this all happens is, it all starts with something super subtle that none of us ever catch. And that is with this habit that all of us have that nobody's talking about. We all have a habit of hesitating. We have an idea, you're sitting in a meeting, you have this incredible idea, and instead of just, saying it, you stop and you hesitate. Now, what none of us realize is that when you hesitate, just that moment, that micro moment, that small hesitation, it sends a stress signal to your brain. It wakes your brain up, and your brain all of a sudden goes, oh wait a minute, why is he hesitating? He didn't hesitate when he put on his killer spiky sneakers. He didn't hesitate with the really cool track pants. He didn't hesitate with the NASA t-shirt. Now he's hesitating to talk. Something must be up. So then your brain goes to work to protect you. It has a million different ways to protect you. One of them is called the spotlight effect. It's a known phenomenon where your brain magnifies risk. Why? To pull you away from something that it perceives to be a problem. And so you can truly trace every single problem or complaint in your life to silence and hesitation. Those are decisions. And what I do, and what's changed my life, is waking up and realizing that motivation's garbage. I'm never going to feel like doing the things that are tough or difficult or uncertain or scary or new. So I need to stop waiting until I feel like it. And number two, I am one decision away from a totally different marriage, a totally different life, a totally different job, a totally different income, a totally different relationship with my kids. Not like one decision, I'm divorcing you in the marriage example, but one decision on, you could be having a conversation with your spouse and you feel your emotions rise up, and within a tiny window, those emotions can take over and can impact how your marriage goes. Or you can learn how to take control of that micro moment and make a decision to act in a way that actually shifts your marriage. Your life comes down to your decisions. And if you change your decisions, you will change everything. I was 41 years old. I was unemployed. My husband had started a restaurant business, which was his dream. This is actually a funny story. When he got laid off from a big job in high tech, and I think he was really relieved. You know how a lot of us wait to our jobs and then we get laid off and we're like, and he said, I'm not going to look for a job. I'm going to go into the restaurant business. And I think I said the most famous lines of our marriage at that point. I looked at him and I said, listen, buddy, inspiration is for strangers. You get your butt back to that job and you pay the mortgage. And again, micro moment where I'm being a jerk instead of being a supportive wife. But that's an example of where when he said he was not going to go get a job, but he was going to start a business, the first thing that was there was fear. And so fear was making the decision for me.
God, I love that you can share that though. It's so powerful.
Well, so what happened is the first restaurant was a home run. And of course, what do you do when things are successful? You grow it, you grow really big. And so they decided to raise some money. And we threw in our home equity line, the kids' college savings. They tried to open a second and a third, and at the same point, a grocery store chain encouraged them to go into wholesale. So it basically got way too big, way too fast, and the wheels started to come off. And they came off so badly that the second restaurant failed, and they held on to it for too long, like a lot of us do. It's another trick our brains play on. It's called sunk costs. When you throw a ton of time and a ton of money at something, it's really hard to let go of it. And if you haven't done it in business, we all have a relationship in our past, stayed way too long. That was a trick your brain played on. So by the time that they closed the second restaurant, it was an $800,000 loss. That meant our entire home equity line gone.
Right.
It meant kids' college. I get just choked up just thinking about how terrifying it was. And so I found myself at the age of 41, like just feeling like a complete failure. And so did Chris. And to make it worse, not only had we lost all of our savings, but so many friends and family members had invested. And so there was this real tension between the truth of what was happening and what you had to do in public, because it was public business. Shame, failure, embarrassment, and the liens started to hit the house. The phone started to ring, and it was nothing but collection calls. And I just remember feeling this tremendous shame. And at some point, I think we all hit that moment in life where things just are not going how you thought they would go. And what's amazing about those moments is we all respond very differently. So my husband, he would spring out of bed and he would head right out that door, 6 o'clock in the morning. And he would go meet his partner and they would go to the bank and they would dig right in and they would face their problems head on. And he's also a smart guy. I mean, he did not want to be in the house when yours truly woke up because I was a raging bitch at that point in our lives. And the reason why is because when you're scared and you're afraid and you're jealous and you're overwhelmed with emotion, it is so much easier to point the finger at other people. That's a decision, by the way. So one you may not be aware that you're making, but you're still making it. So what would happen to me is the exact opposite. Is Chris would be gone, the alarm would go off at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would lie there. And I would think about the lien on the house, and I would think about the bankruptcy that we were facing, and I would think about how much we had fought the night before, and I would think about the fact that I was unemployed, and I would hit the snooze button. And why would you get up when your life is like that? Why would you? I mean, I needed confidence. I needed courage. I was so tapped out. And you know, in the scheme of life, hitting the snooze button is not that big of a deal. But here's the thing about life. None of us wake up and say, today is the day I destroy my life. What we do is we kind of check out because it feels overwhelming. Or we check out because we're afraid. Or we check out because we start listening to self-doubt. And then we make these teeny tiny decisions all day long. We don't even realize it. Decision to not get up on time, a decision to not eat the right thing, a decision to snap at your kids, a decision to not speak in a meeting, a decision to not look for a job, a decision to not deal with your finances, a decision to not call your parents, like whatever it is. All day long, these tiny decisions that take you so far off track. And then you wake up like I did and you look at your life and you think, how the hell did I get here? And more importantly, how did I get back over there? And you have no idea. And so I was so trapped. And I know from your story, you felt the same way. Like you knew that there was more in store for you. but you couldn't figure out how do you close the gap? How do you find the power that's in you? How do you discover your greatness? How do you solve these problems? It's so overwhelming. When you can't, I mean, I would go to the grocery store and the items would scan and I would be sitting there readying my excuse because there was no way that my check card was going to clear.
Wow.
So I got in this struggle with myself that a lot of us find ourselves in, and that is you get trapped in what I call the knowledge action gap. You know what to do, but you can't seem to make yourself do it, right? I mean, every one of us is one Google search away from a list of instructions that if you follow any of them, it will change your life. But how do you get out of your head and stop thinking about what you need to do and actually do it? And in my case, this stuff was pretty easy. Get up on time, make breakfast for the kids, get them on the bus, start looking for a job. Be nicer to Chris. Don't drink so much. Instead of isolating yourself, pick up the phone and call a friend. Get yourself out into the woods and go for a walk. Start running again. Like all these little things that I was capable of, but I couldn't get out of here. Could not get out of here. And if you're stuck, that's the problem. The problem is you're in your head, you're thinking. That is the universal problem. And it all starts with this knowledge of what to do, and then you hesitate and think about whether or not you feel like doing it. So for a couple months, I was really stuck. Chris would get up at 6, I'd hit the snooze, and then I'd hit the snooze, and then I'd hit the snooze, the kids would miss the bus. And then every night I'd do the same thing. I'd go in bed. Have you ever had one of those nights? Probably before you started your company, but where you go in bed and you're like, all right, Tom, that's it. Tomorrow, it's the new me. Tomorrow, I'm going to get up on time. I am going to go to the gym. I am going to look for a job. I'm not going to drink so much. It's going to be amazing. The new me, the future me. Woo! Let's do this, right? Then you go to bed, and you wake up 7 hours later, and you're like, I don't feel like the new me. It's the only, that's a stupid motivation's garbage. Never there needed. Ever. And so here's what happened to me, and thank you for wearing the NASA t-shirt. It's a really stupid story.
It's a powerful story.
So one night, Chris had gone to bed. I'd been struggling. We still had all the same problems. We still had to lean on the house, so facing issues, fighting like crazy. I was still employed. We still figured out like solution yet for the business. And I got turned on TV, and there on the TV, there was this rocket launching, and I thought, oh my gosh, I am going to launch myself out of bed like a rocket ship, like NASA, right here, and launch me out of that bed. And I'm going to move so fast that I think here's an interesting point. I talk a lot about your states, and we can get into this a little bit later. A lot of us talk about the fact that but what all this research that I've done for the book and all the speaking that I do, what I've discovered that's fascinating is actually when you set goals, you have attention on something that you want to change about your life, your brain helps you. What it does is it opens up a checklist, and then your brain does work trying to remind you of that intention that you set. It's really important to develop a skill. And I say that word purposefully, the skill of knowing how to hear that inner wisdom and intention came in and lean into it. So me, my brain said, sit there, move as fast as a rocket. I wanted to change my life. And I think most people that are miserable, or they're really like dying to be great and dying to have more, we want to change. We want to live a better life. We want to create more for our families. We want to be happy. The desire is there. Again, it's about how do you feel knowledge action. So the first thing in the story that's important is realize the answer was in, and my mind was telling me, pay attention. Could have also never. Anyway, the next morning the alarm was off, and I pretended to say, it's a stupid story. I knew 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I counted out loud and then stood up. I'll never forget standing in my bedroom. It was dark, it was cold, it was winter in Boston. And the first time 3 months, I had beaten my habit. Couldn't believe it. I thought, wait a minute, counting backwards, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Well, the next morning I used it and it worked. The next morning I used it again and it worked. The next morning I used it again and it worked. And then I started to notice something really interesting. There were moments all day long, just like that 5-second moment in bed, where I knew knowledge what I should do. And if I didn't move within 5 seconds, my brain would step in and talk me out. Every human being, 5-second window, maybe short for you. You have about a 5-second window in which you can move from idea to action before your brain gets into full gear and sabotages any change in behavior. Remember, your brain is wired to stop you doing things uncomfortable and scared. It's your job to learn how to drop those ideas that can change everything back down in the smallest moment.
For anyone right now at home thinking like this sounds too simple, too easy, talk about your community, because reading their comments, it's crazy how many people, like the sheer volume of people. But if you also go online and just people that are like directly reaching out to you, it is an avalanche of people that have stories around plastic.
Well, one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this book, and look, this is an idea you can use. It's free. It's backed by science. More than 8 million people around the world have discovered it. And you know, you're talking about people from more than 100,000 people in 80 countries are using this tool. You know, 11 people who have stopped themselves from killing themselves using this tool.
I saw one of those.
Yes. There's a guy, Steve, that wrote to us who was veteran. He was suffering from traumatic stress disorder. He boarded a ferry overseas with the intention to jump over. He walked a railing, and inner wisdom kicked in. In that moment, the 5-second, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 count back to the railing, asked for help, survive. His story is like countless other people that heard me in just like around the world about this one. And so, you know, the thing that's so cool about this, and I should tell you the science behind it, because I'm going to be honest with you, it is stupid. Had I ever thought that I would find myself 8 years after discovering it, spending my days telling people about the 5-second rule? First of all, I would have picked a different name because it reminds you of the one where you have to like pick up within 5 seconds off the floor. Right? It was my secret. This was something I did. I never intended to tell anybody because I went on time and waking up on time, shaking up my entire. Because when you understand the power of 5-second decision, and you understand you always have a choice to go from autopilot to decision maker, everything will change. You'll be a negotiator, you'll be different sales, you'll have something, because you realize the amount of courage you put in that, your goals, your dreams, your potential, your confidence, your purpose. Everything comes down to the decisions that you make. We all know what to. None of us know how to make ourselves do. So I started researching it. Why does something so stupid work? Why? Why is it so silly? It's powerful and profound change. Well, here's why. The rule is a formatic condition. Think of things in terms of you can answer your brain in principles. There are tricks that you use that actually outsmart the tricks your brain plays in furtherance of a higher principle. You can restrain yourself if the situation that calls for it. You can jump into a meeting for the sake of your kid. You can direct yourself in ways if it's important to you. And so the rule, what it does something remarkable. When you come backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, what you're actually doing is you're interrupting what researchers call habit loops. It's encoded as closed patterns in your basal brain, the brain, where your feelings, where your emotions, every habit you have, just the more that you eat. Yeah.
Shift your attention.
Yes. And so when you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it interrupts what's going on here that's spinning without thinking, and it moves and awakens your prefrontal cortex. So when you hit 1, your habit has been interrupted. So you've interrupted self-doubt. You've interrupted maybe snapping at your kids. You've interrupted the desire to grab for a drink. You've interrupted procrastination. You've also, by counting backwards, done an action. It's awakened your prefrontal cortex. That is the part of the brain that you need that's awake when you're changing behavior, when you're learning new things. When you hit 1, it's also a prompt. So in the language of research, you'll hear people talk about starting rituals. That is something that's proven to help you learn a new habit. The 5-second rule, when you repeat it, becomes a starting ritual that triggers you to act with confidence, that triggers you that this is a moment for courage, that triggers you to shift gears. And because you've also done the manual work of awakening the part of the brain that you need to change, you've set yourself up for success. It doesn't work if you count up, because you can keep going. And also counting up doesn't require focus. If you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it, again, awakens the prefrontal cortex and it prompts you to move. When you start to use it and then you read about it, you'll see that it's being used all over the place. They use it in the armed services in order to align troops and get them to start an exercise. They use it in elementary schools, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, at big assemblies to get a huge room full of kids to stop talking.
Simple and interesting example, yeah.
Because it requires you to focus. It's not a habit. It will become a habit that prompts you to have confidence and courage. But in the beginning, it interrupts patterns of behavior that you do on autopilot. It helps you assert control, and it teaches you how to become the kind of person who's from thinking about something to actually doing
it. Okay, why isn't this stopping? Hold on, I gotta make sure this thing stops here. Stop. Okay, now I gotta get back to it. Sometimes I'm technically challenged. All right, I'm back. Thank you all for sticking with me. How amazing is that, though? Seriously, so awesome. And you know, I have to admit, I do do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but only when I'm wanting my kids to stop what they're doing and listen to mama. But I guess it works in that sense too. But I have actually, I told my kids tonight about this. You know, we were on the way to Rochester, last minute mama here, get Bryson's haircut because he has pictures tomorrow. That's a whole nother story because it's, let's just say, awesome. Memorable moment for second grade pictures. Besides the point, squirrel syndrome here, back on task. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So I was telling them about this, you know, that you can really, before you're getting upset or before, you know, you lash out at each other and it's World War VII, I want you to do 5, 4, and Brinley couldn't even get to 3 before she was giggling and saying, Mama, this really works. But it's true. And when I watch this, I'm like, yes, it makes so much sense, because when you are going to do that action and you're typing and sending the message, before you're hitting send, how many of you are reevaluating that message? How many of you are going, oh, maybe I shouldn't really do this? Nope. If you instead you were like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, send. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm putting it out there. I am going. I can do this. Oh, someone's on. There we go. That can change everything. And it's scientific. There's science behind it. You know, I'm not agreeing, so that science stuff I don't really care about. But, you know, a couple of the terms I was like, yeah, okay. Or metacognition. I might throw that out there once or twice. But who loved that? And who watched that and thought, that makes so much sense? So much sense. And I don't know about anyone else, but this mama has been hitting the snooze button a lot. I mean, I'm going to make excuse. I have a baby who gets me up in the middle of the night. I can't really snooze him. But it just feels better even to think about the potential of what we can all accomplish if we use that in our lives. Seriously, if we really, really use this and not just go get off this call, because there's some newbies on here, and I pray I'm not scaring any of you and you're messaging your sponsor going, that Hillary chick is crazy. I just hope you know that I am just so passionate. And like I said, Plexus can be that vehicle and is that vehicle to move you in the direction of your dreams, but you have to make the choice. You have to decide. You have to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go for it. Go for it every single time and know that you're worth it. Quit the self-doubt. Quit the negative self-talk. Talk to yourself like you would talk to your son or daughter, motivating them to be the best version of themselves. Do that instead of self-doubt and persecution and putting yourself on the back burner and saying, I'll do it later. Do it now. Don't wait for one day. Make this be day one. Make this be the moment. If you haven't messaged your people yet, if you haven't done your IPAs, start. Do it now. Because I promise you're not going to be able to sleep. You're going to be laying in bed just waiting for tomorrow. Do it now. Don't wait for one day. Don't wait for tomorrow. Do it now. Share what we have, because you have friends and family that are laying in their beds, that are sitting, you know, at the kitchen table writing out bills and looking at each other and saying, how are we going to do this? How are we going to pay for this? And you have something. You have hope. You have hope. You have a vehicle. You have something to offer them. So stop doubting yourselves, and share and share. And I would love to know what your passions are and what you feel like your calling is. I also shared another video, and this is like the world's longest Monday motivation, but I think it's awesome. Just throwing that out there. But I also shared a video of Kendra Hall, And she talks about how you need to pivot your pitch and share why you're doing what you're doing and how much more impactful and meaningful that is versus if you just copy and paste, these are the ingredients of Plexus Slim, yay! Drink it, pink drink, so good, probio, yay, everyone wants to poop. I mean, whatever you want to say, But if you were to share why are you sharing about this pink drink? Why? Gosh, I was that tired, miserable mama, and I found this little gem. Sure changed everything for me. That's a post. You don't have to say, buy it from me, message me, come with me. Just share it naturally, because we as a society are so bombarded all of the time. And I'm not saying it is what it is. Bombarded all the time with people trying to get us to buy things, right? That's how it feels. You feel like pressured, like stop. Even though we know that what we have is amazing, we don't want our people to feel pressured. We want them to feel inspired, to feel hopeful, right? When they're talking to us. When we message them, we want people to say, thank you. Thank you for messaging me. Because Plexus, we're different. We are different. I wrote this down. I got to go back to it. But when you're building your business, you need to get real. You need to get happy with that positive self-talk, positive posting, happiness. You know what? We all woke up this morning to sadness and devastation, right? Las Vegas, people at a concert, going there to have fun, and evil strikes, right? Evil. What can we do? What can we do? We can share love. We can share happiness. We can shed light on all of the amazing first responders, the heroes that went in and saved people. That's what you focus on. You focus on the light, not the darkness. So get happy, right? And get personal. Get personal. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget who you are. I gave you all a lot tonight. But like I said, when I do these Monday motivations, and now we heard her say motivation is garbage, but I still think it's pretty good too. I really, really pray and think about it, and I look for inspiration on what I feel like you all need. And I really, really, again, I'm just going to go back to the one day or day one, you decide. You decide. And if you don't have a mantra either for yourself in life, again, that's another therapy thing. Again, the new people are probably going, this girl crazy. She's in therapy and all these other things. That's all right. If you need to go to therapy, go to therapy. It's amazing. But creating that mantra, when things are happening to me, I used to go, yep, it's what happens to me because nothing ever good happens to me. And I don't deserve anything because I did X, Y, and Z wrong. I had kids out of wedlock. I got divorced at 23. I've made horrible decisions. I don't deserve anything. No wonder all of this bad stuff is happening to me, right? But instead, what I tell myself is, Hillary, things do not happen to you, they happen for you. So what is the lesson in this moment? What is the lesson in this feeling that you're having? Figure it out, move forward. That's all you can do. If you sit in that moment of that stub toe and you sit down and you start getting in here, and pretty soon a stubbed toe translates into a failed marriage and a failed person and everything else in between. Your job sucks, your kids are jerks, whatever. Because you get in that dark circle, you need to stop it. You need to stop it. You need to, like she said, replace those tapes. Do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Find a mantra. You can change your life. So thank you all so much. I'm going to end the recording, and if anyone feels moved to share, please do. But thank you all for being on. I sincerely appreciate it. I am like, whew, hot right now. I'm like getting all fired up and excited because this is what I love to do. This is my calling, sharing love and light with all of you. Plexus is my vehicle to be able to do that. I love you all.